Ready, Your Honor. What says the defense?
Ready, Your Honor.
Is the prosecution ready to call its witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The prosecution calls Ralph to the stand. May I have freedom of the court?
Yes.
Please state your name and occupation for the court.
My name is Ralph. I'm 12 years old, and I was on the island where Piggy was killed.
What was your job on the island?
Well, from the start of the time on the island, I was elected leader of all of the boys.
What did you do as leader?
Well, I really had to make sure there was order on the island, which included things such as building shelter for the other boys and building a signal fire, a lot of other issues.
What do you mean, issues?
Well, the only way by which we could light the fire was using Piggy's specs. But this fire would continually go out, which is why we constantly needed Piggy's specs. And because he was blind without them.
Who is Piggy?
Well, Piggy's the first person I met on the island, and he was one of my friends. He was actually the one who found this conch shell, which brought all the boys together.
Who else were you friends with?
Simon, all the Littons, but there were some people I had differences with.
What were your differences?
Well, people like Jack and Roger were mostly caught up in hunting this beast on the island, whereas I was focused on survival.
What is this beast?
Well, a lot of times, these crazy boys thought they saw a beast on the island, and they were determined to kill this thing. And it started to really change the way they acted, and this caused a lot of really crazy incidents.
How did this change the way they acted?
Well, they would do these ridiculous tribal dances after every time they killed a pig, and they would get pretty crazy, and they changed it to different people.
What happened next?
Well, it was the night where Jack and the hunters had just killed a pig, so they did another one of their dubious tribal dances, and Piggy and I decided to go home. Join.
And after that?
Well, this thing stumbled upon the beach and everyone, including me, thought it was the crazy beast. So we decided to kill it. That way, we'd finally settle all of these issues.
What happened afterwards?
Well, the next morning, we really realized that it wasn't the beast after all. It was our good friend Simon, which I'm not really sure how that happened. But I guess it was so dark, and if it wasn't so dark and I realized it was Simon, I never would have done it at all. It was just an accident. And unlike I thought it wasn't settled.
Since it wasn't settled, what happened?
Well, the group split, and it wasn't long until basically all of us boys, but Piggy and I were under Jack's authority, where Roger and Jack were abusive.
How was he abusive?
Well, him and Roger would punish the boys for no reason, and conditions were horrible in Castle Rock.
Castle Rock?
It was this really dangerous place on the mountainside where all the boys under Jack's leadership went, and this is where the incident with Piggy happened.
How did this incident begin?
Well, the night before, Jack and his tribe stuck onto the beach and stole Piggy's specs. The next morning, we went to Castle Rock in order to retrieve them.
What happened next?
Well, I decided to bring this awesome conch shell there to remind the boys that I was once in charge, and I blew into it, calling their attention.
How did the boys react to you doing this?
They didn't listen to it at all, so I handed it to Piggy for him to hold while I had a disagreement with Jack.
What happened next?
While Jack and I were fighting, Roger decided to join in and threw this huge boulder at Piggy and I. Luckily, I heard this boulder and could dodge out of the way, but sadly, that just wasn't the case for Piggy.
Why wasn't that the case?
Well, because Piggy was already blind without his glasses, and sadly, the boulder hit him, which broke this conch shell he was holding, and it knocked him off the mountainside, killing him.
May I approach the bench?
For what purpose?
To retrieve what has been previously marked as Exhibit 1.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that I am showing the opposing counsel. May I approach the witness?
For what purpose?
Purposes of identification and clarification.
Yes.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize this document?
Well, this is the picture of the conch shell that we were talking about earlier.
At this time, I would like to move Exhibit 1 into evidence.
Okay.
Would you please describe them?
Well, there's two pictures here. The first one is the conch shell before it was broken, and the second one is a picture of the conch shell in its destroyed state, after Piggy was struck and killed by the boulder.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Will there be a cross-examination for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. May I have freedom of the court?
Yes.
In your direct, Did you say that Roger threw a boulder?
I did indeed say that in my direct.
And how would you define a boulder?
I would define a boulder as an abnormally large rock, something that obviously came from the side of a mountain.
So for purpose of clarification, you would define a boulder as an enormously large rock.
Yes, I think we can go with that.
Yes, and would you say that a rock is heavy?
Well, a boulder in particular heavy, but a small rock would not, obviously.
I'm sorry, let me restate that. Do you think a boulder would be heavy?
I suppose so, given that Piggy was destroyed by this boulder.
So you would say that a boulder would have been so heavy as to kill a man?
Well, obviously the one that Roger threw was heavy enough to kill a man, given that Piggy is now dead and no longer with us.
In your own personal knowledge, would you say that this man would be able to hold a boulder up that was, again, heavy enough to kill a man, be able to then throw the rock at such great distance that it was then able to roll down a mountain, roll down continuously at a stable plane, and please let me finish my question.
Absolutely.
And going down a stable plane while rolling over Piggy, killing him in the mask. And you claim that this man would be able to do that at 12 years old.
Well, I feel that the dichotomy behind the question is entirely false. You're presupposing that he had lifted up the boulder, whereas I see it, Roger probably just found the boulder laying around and he just pushed it down the hill. And this is a mountain. Boulders do roll, you know. So the way I see it, what Roger probably did, he waited until Piggy walked into the right spot and just pushed that boulder, and that boulder is what killed Piggy.
So now Roger has pushed the boulder.
I suppose that's a way of viewing it.
So in your direct, he threw the boulder. Now he pushed the boulder. Is there any new information that you would like to say?
It's all just words. Words are
no further questions, Your Honor.
Witness, you are excused. Is the defense ready to call its first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Roger to stand. May I have into the court?
Yes.
Where were you when Piggy was killed?
I was frolicking on top of the mountain.
And what were you doing on top of the mountain?
I was searching for medicinal plants and pigtails and such. Or trails.
Who was with you?
Some of the other biggins.
And what did you have on your person?
I just had a spear.
And why did you have a spear?
In case of an attack.
An attack by whom?
One coordinated by Ralph.
What does Jack's group have to do with this?
You know, Jack and Ralph argued about who was the leader, and Jack said he should have been the leader.
And how did he get his own group?
Since Jack was not allowed to be leader, we just left and made our own group. We took the people who followed him and left.
What was Ralph's reaction to this?
He was very angry. He hated it.
No more questions.
Thank you. Will there be a cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. May I have freedom of the court?
Yes.
You're good friends with Jack. He was your leader.
Yeah, I'd say we were pretty good friends, I guess.
You were his right-hand man?
I didn't have an official title, but, you know, I felt like we were good friends.
You were a part of Jack's hunters until you were a part of the new tribe?
Yeah, you know, that was probably one of my best skills, so. Yeah.
Hunting was one of your best skills.
Yes, it was.
So you like to hunt?
Yeah, you know, back when I was in England, I also liked to hunt as well. But, you know, I felt like that translated to this as well.
So you've had a violent past?
Hunting is actually a recreational sport, so I wouldn't say so at all.
But you like to kill?
I like the sport of it. I like the game. I like the hunt. I like you know, the challenge of finding the right kill.
Let's alter a bit. You used to throw stones at the little ones on the beach?
Yeah, that wasn't my best day.
Also kick them in the head?
Again, not one of my brightest moments.
And while you were on this mountainside, you threw a boulder at Piggy.
Yeah, I accidentally pushed it, but it ended up falling.
You accidentally pushed it?
Yeah.
Yet it still hit Piggy?
Yes.
And killed him?
Unfortunately, yes.
And the boulder was heavy?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a slight bump, but I would say so.
And the boulder killed Piggy that you threw?
I pushed, accidentally, but from that, yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Witness, you are excused.
We, the jury, find the defendant Roger guilty for the murder of Piggy. Court is now adjourned.